समझ नहीं आ रहा अपने सैलरी इंक्रीमेंट का क्या करूं।
बेटा इतना क्या सोच रहा है? अपने म्यूचुअल फंड्स के एसआईपी का टॉपअप करा ले। दिस इज द राइट टाइम।
क्या? समझ में नहीं आया।
बेटा इतना क्या सोच रहा है? अपने म्यूचुअल फंड्स का एसआईपी टॉपअप करा ले। दिस इज द राइट टाइम।
अब समझा।
Mutual fund investments are subject to market risks. Read all scheme related documents carefully.
Depending on where your politics comes from, you might see Jantar Mantar as a revolution or as a passing sandstorm. My arguments won't change any minds I know, because many minds are made up. I shall try, however, to say what's happened in my view and what hasn't. Certainly, what's happened is the first public, in-your-face defiance and ridiculing of the Modi government. If they responded with such alacrity after the violence of 20 July, it was essentially because they realized that well over 95% of the protesting youth, or mostly children, were from the Hindu middle or upper middle class families, which is their core vote base, the BJP's core vote base. You can use the Gen Z label, bache hain, and continue to trivialize their revolt by shifting all discussion, especially on TV news, to their language, slang, galis, and so on. TV news is the usual suspect. Even 100 discussions, however, on how differently this Gen Z thinks won't trivialize the defiance they have demonstrated. First of all, it was defiance in the face of much physical risk, evident in their resolve to return to Jantar Mantar even after the beatings on 20th of July. And second, a nearly reckless loss of fear as to what this might mean for their careers going ahead. This was the angriest, the most furious student protest in New Delhi after the anti-Mandal agitation in VP Singh's short tenure. That saw the Gen Z equivalent of that period protesting and some even attempting self-immolation. Surinder Singh Chauhan, Rajiv Goswami died, for example. In both cases, in the case of both protests, the impulse was the same: career prospects, jobs, and education. First was avowedly upper caste, this one the relatively upper middle English speaking meme making classes. Both generations, nearly 4 decades apart, showed no fear of the police or repression. So, to sum up, this is what has happened. These young people broke the self-imposed silence among the elites not to speak a word critical of the Modi government, except whisper on the sidelines, looking left, right, and behind. This was as in your face as it can be, and it isn't going to stop. They also showed that there is a large demographic that isn't impressed with slogans of Viksit Bharat or Amrit Kal. By 2047, when those slogans are consummated, the oldest Gen Zer today will be 50 and the youngest 35. Their lives would have passed them by then. Who has the patience to wait that long? Definitely not this generation of Indians or young people anywhere. Contrarily, it might work with the middle or upper middle class BJP voter in the 50 plus age group. The target has been set too far in the future for the old to check out, so Modi government is safe. The children can't look that far. Think once again. A child who was 3 in 2014 when Narendra Modi first took power, a child who was 3 in 2014 will be voting in 2029. Now let me look at the other side of the coin. There was a touching notion among the many Modi critics and adversaries that India was having its own Colombo/Dhaka/Kathmandu moment, that Gen Z will now pull down a government. This shows disrespect for Indian democracy, the robustness of its system, as well as a delusional view of how easy it might be to push out an elected government. All said and done, nearly 24 crore Indians voted for the BJP, even if it got only 240 seats. That's almost twice as much as the second largest vote getter, the Congress. I was tempted to borrow from Gen Z that word delulu, but it's cliched already. I bet by now they've invented something new. What they have done, however, is to open the door for Modi's opposition just that bit. They have exposed more than a chink in the armor, It's a widening gap between Modi government's perception of its popularity among its most loyal base and the growing fatigue among a significant enough number of them. This takes me back to a conversation we had, Pranay Roy, Dorab Supariwala and I, in a village during the 2018 Chhattisgarh elections. Why do you want change? We asked a villager. The Raman Singh, that's the BJP government, is giving you so much. Why do you want change? It's been there too long, he said. Don't you get tired of eating the same sabzi, vegetable, each day, even if it's your favorite? You want change. In the televised discussion later that evening, Pranay asked me if I also won't get fed up eating the same sabzi. Not quite, I said. If it's bhindi, I can carry on. Bhindi's okra. That was for a laugh. The more serious outcome was the election result, sweeping the BJP out of power. The lesson, therefore, fatigue and boredom can afflict some loyal old voters also, at least those that are not ideologically committed. This is what the protests have underlined. It's only because the BJP understood it that they sent out two of their most important faces, Health Minister and former party president for 6 years, JP Nadda, and Jitendra Singh, Minister of State in the PMO, very powerful position, and also in charge of sensitive ministries like space, atomic energy, science, and technology. This is also the reason their brief was to be gentle with the students, concede all their demands, and even hold a joint press conference with them. Flexibility the Modi government had displayed over land acquisition and farm laws. Now we saw vulnerability. The latter is owed mostly to the fact that the protests were from its base. Important as this is, because this base is urban, this is very vocal, it's also a fact that the BJP's base is much wider. It also goes beyond this, which brings us to what this protest wasn't. I've told you so far what it was. I will tell you what it wasn't. First, no revolution is broken out, and you can give Faiz Ahmad Faiz's invocation a break. In a couple of days, northern India will be choked with millions of Kanvadiyas. Many will have loud DJs, eat mostly bhandaras set up by the faithful, have Uttar Pradesh government's helicopters spray flowers over them. Most of them are also Gen Z. The short point is that there is also a lot of loyal young people still with the BJP. Competitive politics up to 2029 now will be about filling the breach the Gen Z has caused or widening it. The BJP acknowledges its problem. That's why the Prime Minister is now speaking on Instagram. But how will he address voter fatigue, the challenge of the same sabzi every day for 15 years? Can he rejuvenate his government? In the cabinet, the same caste has played musical chairs. Of the ministries that directly affect the young, education has its fifth minister now and will soon have the sixth, because this one is holding additional charge. Skill development has seen 4 ministers or 5 ministries because one has had the job twice. And if the project had seen much success, unemployment or underemployment would have been lower. Who are the 4 ministers who've had this ministry 5 times? Rajiv Pratap Rudy, Dharmendra Pradhan, Mahendranath Pandey. Now who's he? Think about him. Pradhan again, and now Jayant Chaudhary of Rashtriya Lok Dal. Rao Inderjeet Singh of Haryana has been an MOS with one interruption, that is 2009 to 14, since 2004. No promotion. He now has statistics, program implementation and planning. Of course, Modi government abolished the planning commission, but the planning ministry is still there. Jitan Ram Manjhi and H.D. Kumaraswamy helm MSME, that is medium, small and micro enterprises, and heavy industries respectively. Each is critical for job creation. Heard of them lately? Kahan hai? The government needs to reinvent itself and not just on Instagram. The opposition that wants to widen the breach gifted to them just has to remember that power doesn't descend on you. It doesn't fall into your lap. I've said often enough that in India, no powerful leader is defeated by a challenger. They have to defeat themselves. Indira Gandhi did so with the emergency. Rajiv with his multiple blunders from Shah Bano to Salman Rushdie's book to Ayodhya. Vajpayee by advancing an election over the heady belief that India was shining. In 2014, Narendra Modi rose as a challenger. By then, Manmohan Singh's UPA had already been a lame duck for at least 4 years. Yet, for each powerful leader to be defeated, the opposition had to be helped along by somebody who built the groundswell. JP, Jayaprakash Narayan against Indira Gandhi, and VP Singh against Rajiv Gandhi in 1977 and 1989 respectively. In three of these reversals, Indira, Rajiv and UPA, the RSS was closely involved. The fact that the Congress has no such loyal infantry raises the handicap on them. Congress has got 3 years to work on this new opening. Just what the Modi Shah BJP has got to reboot and rebuild.